Strip clubs are dying as men entered their soft guy era. So this is really wonderful news. And just to let you know, this trend actually started prior to the events of 2020. So it's not so much 2020 that is causing it, although it accelerated it, but more so men have been walking away from these establishments for quite some time. I've already told you that for a long time now, the simp economy had been leaving society, and almost entirely firmly now online. So the simp economy moved online, and men are not going to these places anymore. They don't want to spend their money. They don't want to lose it there. If the simps want to have some type of interaction, they're going to Only Fools and Lonely Fans. But again, the simp economy just is not big enough to sustain everyone. And as it's now become a normality and even a tradition for, simping to be done online almost exclusively. Next, what's happening is the simp economy is moving overseas. So, the simps are seeing that the passport kings have had all the success, and the simps are entering into the manosphere. We have a lot of simps here, and of course, they're looking for, these women to tell them sweet nothings and give their money to a lot. There's a lot of women in the manosphere right now. I don't want to call out any names of women who are doing this, who they're in the manosphere, they make videos in the manosphere, and they're selling adult content online. There's quite a few of them, and there's some very, very big creators that are doing it. They're making videos, and then you can go to their Patreon, or you can go over to their Only Fools, Lonely Fans, and get access to their explicit content. So this is just to show you how sick it is, but it's an unfortunate reality. But the simp economy is now beginning to transition overseas, as the simps are now leaving the country and going overseas to the Philippines, and heavily the Philippines and even Thailand, to go and find women over there that they can simp for. And the men in these countries are getting pissed off because they don't want these simps. But regardless, this is what's happening. If we look at this article right here, it says, "Is the American strip club dying out?" And it's a very interesting article. Faced with changing attitudes, tightening regulations, and a booming online adult industry, strip clubs are closing across the US, and sex may still sell in magazines and movies, but are American clubs a dying institution? Asked Jonathan Burr. This article again was actually from July 5th, 2019. So this actually was 1 year more than, well, almost a year before everything went to hell in 2020. So this is something that was a downward trend, and then after 2020, these clubs are practically gone. They still exist, but there's absolutely no one there. They're literally empty. Can you imagine a boss telling a secretary to make an appointment at a strip club? These days, few executives would be willing to risk possibly losing their jobs and resulting personal humiliation by seeking reimbursement from their employer for an outing at a club, gentlemen's club. But gentleman club operator Alan Markovitz said such calls were typical in the late 1980s and 1990s, because that's where guys went, gentlemen clubs, to basically sit and do business. Mr. Markovitz, a Michigan entrepreneur who has gentlemen club operations in 4 states, told the BBC he would routinely get notified that a powerful executive was arriving to make sure that they got good seats. That was the norm back then, he said. During the industry's heyday, customers weren't so timid. Gentlemen club operators would even play along, using innocuous sounding names on their credit card slips to avoid suspicion. Indeed, gentlemen club outings were tolerated on Wall Street and in other industries for years, until female employees filed suits against their employers earlier in the decade and won tens of millions in lawsuits. In addition, the industry is facing some punishing economic trends, including a declining customer base, an abundance of free internet content, and rising employee cost. At live adult entertainment venues, selling physical intimacy it isn't nearly as profitable as it used to be. Data from market research from IBIS World estimates profits slumped by more than 12% to 1.4 billion in 2018, down from 1.6 billion in 2012. Sales during that time period plunged about 7% to 6.9 billion from 7.4 billion. Annual revenue growth Annual revenue growth at US clubs was 4.9% between 2012 and 2017, slowing to 1.9% from 2013 to 2018, and is projected to fall to 1.7% by 2023, according to IBIS World. The number of clubs also declined in recent years in major US cities and their surroundings. So, guys, as you can see, this is everything is collapsing right now. They're all falling apart. This is a trend that's been happening for years. Men walking away from these institutions, men saying we're done. We don't want to have anything to do with this anymore. We're sick and tired of this. You know, it's the honest to goodness truth. And then after the events of 2020, things shifted even more. You know, I told you because, like I said, the simp economy exists almost entirely online at this point. It's just a reality. If we look at this right here, this article was published in February 12th, 2021. So this was in the midst of this was after the events of 2020. And it says that gentlemen clubs likely not coming back, how dancers are making money. We should have opened at the same time bars opened. There's no touch policy anyway, said Alicia. Gentlemen clubs are the one industry in Virginia that closed back in March and still hasn't opened back up. The only ones that are open, none of them are in West Virginia, said Casita Nelson, a previous dancer. The closest is Lexington, I think. This put hundreds of dancers out of work across the state. Easily 200, maybe 3 or 4, said Nelson. A lot of my friends are either not working right now or we're working some type of like maybe waitressing or restaurant work or something like that. So either they're really down and out for money or just barely scraping by with maybe a third of what they would have been making otherwise. I started bartending part-time right before this happened, and it's because I knew it was coming, said Alicia. Davis is a perfect example of what's happened to many of these women. Even though I'm bartending, I'm not making what I was, not even a portion of it, she said. And this affects more than just dancers. It's not just girls, Davis continues. There are managers, bartenders, and bouncers that have spent years there, and that's their job. That's what they've always done. And even a lot of our healthcare workers, said Nelson, I mean, worked with women who were nurses. You know, they'd go work their day jobs and work with us at night, and that would help ease some of their burdens. Businesses have all been affected by the events of 2020, but this one is now obsolete in the Mountain State. It's people's lives, you know, Nelson said. That's income. A lot of this is hilarious. A lot of people look down on it, said Davis, and that's why they're not really. We kind of live in a little Bible belt, but we're all mostly single moms. We need it. We're all mostly single moms. We need it. So that's the article, guys. So these women are crying their eyes out because they've basically lost these jobs, and now they have to be on OnlyFools and OnlyFans trying to compete with young women on these platforms. Now, keep in mind, when we look at some of this, for example, OnlyFools statistics for 2024, exploring the platform users' creation and earnings. If we look at the earnings of what these women are making, it varies a lot. So if we scroll down, Business Insider spoke with 8 OnlyFools models, and their reported annual earnings range from $143,000 a year to $5.4 million. The top earners on OnlyFools make $100,000 or more monthly. OnlyFools deducts 20% fee from every subscription sold and pays the remaining 80% to the creator. These are not creators. These are 100. Like, that's the thing I wanted to say to you guys. These women are not creators. They're trying to make it sound like they're creators, like this is YouTube. These women are not creators, okay? This is absolutely disgusting. You know, and you have a lot of them popping up that are trying to make it sound like this is honest work. It absolutely is not honest work. Okay. The reality of it is, if we check this out, the top earners on OnlyFools make $100,000 or more monthly. But another survey found that the average OnlyFools creator, only earns around $180 a month. And these statistics are based on a sample of creators and may not represent all creators on the platforms. Only OnlyFools has the full picture, of course. So this is the craziest things. $180 a month. That's what the average OnlyFools creator is making. $180 a month. They can't cut it on there. You also have all of these digital managers trying to get a cut. It's like there was this one dude who was like, he gets girls and he scales them up to $10,000 a month and as high as $10,000 a month, and then they do a 50-50 split. So guys, if they're pulling in, think about this carefully. If they're pulling in $10,000 a month and they do a 50-50 split, and OnlyFools takes a 20% cut, that 20% cut from 10,000 is going to bring them down to $8,000 a month. And then when he splits that with the girl, that's $4,000 a month. That works out to $48,000 a year. Okay? And then on top of that, the woman has to pay taxes on that $48,000. So once there's these women are not, you have to remember the smart thing to do is go and form an LLC and then learn how to minimize your debt and all of these things. But most of them are not going to do any of those things. So you're making $48,000 a year. And then let's say the government takes, a 25% cut of that, right? So the government takes their cut. You're left with about $33,000. $33,000 after the government takes their 30% cut from your money. You're left with $33,000 of disposable income. So you basically sold yourself for $33,600 a year. That's how much? $33,600. 30% is about normal. It's about a normal tax bracket. So they're left with about $33,600 a year. And once you've done this type of thing, you cannot get a job in a lot of other places. Schools don't want to hire you. Hospitals don't want to hire you. Government definitely doesn't want to hire you. Law firms don't want to work with you. You've destroyed your name. And now you think you're going to go out there and find yourself a husband or someone who's going to hold you down and pay your bills. You really have something else coming. And like I said, they're trying to, a lot of women are trying to normalize this now and say that, and they're being called creators, like they're actually creating some content of actual value. I want to show you this video by Vanessa Law, and then I'm going to explain something to you.
Here's what people see when they look at creators and entrepreneurs on social media. Dancing, reels, us being in the comment section, engaging, doing all the fun things. But here's what people don't see that happens behind the scenes. Going up to help people for free, even on days that we don't feel like it, and even at the expense of our mental health. Spending uncomfortable amount of hours learning new skills like video editing, graphic design, copywriting, selling, entrepreneurship, financial management, and so much more. Learning how to self-regulate and heal when a stranger on the internet decides to project their expectations and traumas onto us. And of course, working over 80 hours a week on something that doesn't guarantee a return and taking tons of amount of risks under our personal names. So yeah, if you are a creator or entrepreneur, just know that you do a lot and other creators and business owners see right through it, even if most people on the internet don't.
Funny story, I actually got furious with Vanessa once because I was one of her earlier subscribers, and I supported her for years. And then I left a comment on her video basically asking her to come on a podcast, and my comment kept getting deleted. And I posted another comment, and then it got deleted again. And I basically sent a scathing email over to Vanessa, basically fuming that this happened. And ironically, her team actually got the email over to her. She reached out to me and apologized for it. It turns out that they actually did not delete the comments. This is basically what's been happening when some of you guys are like, angry, you're deleting our comments, or what's going on? No, YouTube is removing the comments. And it turns out that YouTube had actually removed my comments, and she was like, yeah, I'll see if I can find some time to be on your podcast. I actually did not follow up with her for that, Maybe I will. Maybe she's just returned to YouTube, so I don't know if I'd be able to do that. If that's something you guys want, maybe I'll reach out. Let me know, and maybe I could get her on. Still, I'm not sure, but I mean, she did agree. She did say like she would look into it, like back when she was at like the heights of her career. So it's possible that I could still do it. But I just wanted to share that with you guys. That's what it's like. Even other content creators, we can get pissy with each other, and I felt bad about it now, considering everything. Being a creator myself and the living hell that I go through and the expectations some of you guys put me through sometimes. But I wanted to share this with you because I actually left a comment on this video at least a year ago, or over a year ago. And as you guys can see, like, this is the video that you just watched, and it was the burden of being a content creator where she talked about it. As you can see, the first comment there is my comment. So I left this comment literally over a year ago, and I said to anyone reading this, Only Fools is not content creation. It's adult work. This message is not directed at Vanessa. I'm a longtime fan. It's directed at all the OnlyFans, Only Fools mamas out there. Yeah. By the way, guys, don't forget that I have another channel called Angry where I discuss gaming, anime, geek stuff, nerd stuff, real world stuff, and whatever else interests me. There's a link to it in the description of the video. Go check it out. Subscribe to the channel. Support my work. And if you're enjoying this content on the Angry Guy channel and you want even more of this content, head over to my Men Walking Away channel. I post more videos just like the videos that you will find on Angry Guy over on Men Walking Away. So you can head over to that channel, check out the content on that channel, enjoy the content, support my work. There's a link to it in the description of the video, so you can check that out. Guys, these clubs, the gentlemen clubs are dying. They're dying out as men enter their soft guy era, and they're saying that, ladies, if you want it, you need to put a ring on it. And men like diamonds too. Men like diamonds too. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on this in the comments, and we'll talk about it there. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, Men Walking Away, and cheers.